Well, welcome to a look at Grid Stories, a very rough around the edges piece of software, but designed to try to make it easier to generate story grids for Grid 3. This is the sign-in form. At the moment, we have the highly memorable URL of almcnichol.co.uk/grid-stories, but at some stage there may be something a little bit more memorable. You can see it starts with a login page. That's because your set of stories are specific to your user. You can sign in with Google. At the moment, Facebook login's not available. And if you sign in with Google, it uses the OAuth sign-in that you're probably familiar with. You can also use an ordinary username and password. And so for the moment, I'm just going to register a new user. And we're going to register the user test2 with the password test2. And there's no password security to speak of, so please don't use any serious production password. And then we can log in like this. Now, when you first arrive in there, you'll see a little reminder to create a story set. In Grid Stories, we've got story sets, which are actually, they equate to grid sets in Grid 3. And each story set can contain as many stories as you like. The limitation really is just the file size that you're producing. So we're going to start off by creating a story set, and we're going to call it Julia Donaldson, a collection of Julia Donaldson stories. There we go. Now, image-wise, we can then drag an image there. I happen to have some images of the Gruffalo here, so let's use a Gruffalo image of some description. Let's use this one here. Just going to drag that up, and it's uploaded. At the moment, in some places on the interface, it doesn't actually tell you that an upload succeeded. You just have the wait cursor and then it disappears. Not quite sure why that's failed. Wasn't expecting this. So maybe that's for some reason been set as unique. Something to go back and fix later. As I said, this is a bit rough around the edges. It looks like that was the problem. I'll fix that before you watch this video, probably. Okay, having created our story set, which is Julia Donaldson stories, we now need to create a quick story to go in it. You can create a story the manual way, but this is by far the fastest way. And we start off just by uploading our images. Now I'm going to just do the Gruffalo story. So we're going to upload that one there. You'll see it appears. And I'm just going to start uploading these pages. Now you probably find there's a nice fast way to do it like this. And generally speaking, it will keep up with you pretty well. I take these pictures using my camera, which has a documents mode, which allows you to square them off. Obviously, if you can find official pictures and navigate any copyright issues, then so much the better. Just a word on this about file sizes. Grid 3 does struggle if your grids go over a certain size. It certainly starts to give you a warning as a remote editor if you go above about 50 meg. So what I've done with these JPEGs is, first of all, JPEGs, not PNGs. I've kept them pretty small. I think they're all around about the sort of 640 by 480 type size. And I've also saved them in 75% quality, JPEG quality, which I'm hoping will avoid the file size getting too big. When you've dragged them all in there, you can, if you need to, reorder them, although in this case, they're actually in the correct order. And if you do, you can just hit save order up there to save the fact that you've reordered them. And then we're going to do the audio. Now, audio at the moment is a bit frustrating because Grid 3 will only accept MP3s, WAVs, and I think WMA, the Windows media format. And recording in the browser doesn't record to MP3, and even recording to WAV is not very common. Most of the time it will record to OGG or to WebM. So I've actually had to record these on my phone using an MP3 recorder, and then I'm going to upload them from there. But you could, if you wanted to, just record them using some software on your PC. The only thing is you want one recording per page rather than one long recording. At some stage, there will probably be a feature to chop up longer recordings into smaller segments, but that's not there yet. So this is just a case of matching the recording to the page, and to help you, when you drag it there, it will start playing the sound. So let's try this now.
The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson.
Now, I didn't route the computer audio to this recording, so I don't know if you heard that through the speakers, but that told me that it was indeed the right recording. And what you can then do is
A mouse took a stroll through the deep
drag all of these across.
A fox saw the mouse, and the mouse looked.
Now, I actually put that in the wrong place. This is just a decorative this was just a decorative page. It looks as though something's gone wrong with removing the audio. I did say it was rough around the edges. I'm proving that again. I suspect if I reload that, the audio will be gone. Things are saved as you go along, so if you have to reload the page, then that's not a problem. Looks like it's still there. So at the moment, I'll probably have to overwrite it. In theory, removing the audio does work. I've had it working. It's one of the edges that's a little bit rough. But actually, a mouse took a walk through a deep, dark wood belongs here.
A mouse took a stroll through the deep, dark wood.
Of course, you can put other things in there. So I think I've got some bird song to go on this page. And later on, I've got an owl and a snake and a fox sound effects to put on there. You can just drag across all the sound effects until you're happy, and then you hit next.
The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson.
Now, this is for putting in the text. You don't have to put in text, of course. You could just choose to have the pictures and the audio, and for some people that will be appropriate. For Florence, who I've built this for, she likes to be able to read the words as well. So you can just type in the Gruffalo. If you want to, you can put by Julia Donaldson. There we go. Hit tab. You can use these arrows, but it's easier to use tab. And here we go. A mouse took a stroll through the deep, dark wood. A fox saw a mouse. Good.
Come and have lunch
Etc.
in my underground house. It's terribly kind of you, Fox.
And you'll see it's remembered that when we go backwards and forwards. Again, this is saved as you go along. When we're finished, we're just going to hit next. Obviously, this is not a complete story. And this is now the final stage. We're finalizing the story. This is going to be called, obviously, the Gruffalo. We choose templates for each page. Now, there are only 2 templates in there at the moment. It may be that I add some more fairly soon, but the standard title page is just laid out with a little bit less space for text and more for the picture. And the icon to go back to the index, I think, is different. The body template, this one here, is just a standard picture at the top, words underneath, left and right arrows. And then it's automatically putting it in the Julia Donaldson story set because that's all I have. And now we're going to hit finish. And here we have our story set. You can see it's got one story. I could drag it up and down if I had more than one to rearrange them. And if we wanted to, we could actually go in and take a look. So let's do that. This is the story here. As you see, it consists of 27 pages. And if I wanted to, I could actually view these individual pages like this. You'll see this is even more rough and ready as an interface. It allows you to individually edit the speech, the label, the sound, the image, and you can go and look at other pages. And it gives you a rough idea of the layout of the page, although spread to fit your browser. It's not designed to look pretty, but it does do the job. And if you need to make individual edits, you can do that there. For instance, I wanted to get rid of the sound on here, so I could get rid of that. And when you're done, and you have your story set as you want it, you can click this button up here, Compile. Now what this does is it puts all of the XML together behind the scenes. It then zips it up using standard zip library and renames it to .gridset, which is what a Grid 3 grid is actually made of. And you'll see here it's just ready to download. If I show it in the folder, you'll see it's just there waiting to be uploaded. If you have Grid 3 remote editing, you can just double click the file at that stage and it will load it in and you will see the final result. I'll just quickly show you what it looks like when it's completed with one I've done earlier. And read stories, I believe it was. It's disappeared. That's typical. It's still synchronizing, that's why. Just leave it to finish synchronizing. We should be good. Great, and you'll see these are the ones that I've created earlier. I've got a Julia Donaldson set, which consists of these wonderful books. And when you look at Room on the Broom, that one I chose to do with built-in text. But then these here we have.
The witch had a cat and a very tall hat and long ginger hair which she wore in a plait.
You can see when you have fewer stories, it just takes a bit more of the page. And your navigation allows you to go forward pages and then back to the index and back to Grid Explorer. So hopefully that's of some use building these grid sets, and the tool will continue to develop. It is, as I say, very rough around the edges. There are a few bits that don't work. It's available on GitHub. I'll put a link somewhere in the description if you want to look at the code and contribute anything as well. But enjoy using it.